Hello guys, today I figure I'd explain why the Walther PPS is the gun that I went with, and it's almost the perfect gun for me. There are a million guns, so I figured I'd just take the time and figure out which would be the perfect gun, so to speak, because there's so many options. I figured I'd take my time and just look for what had everything I wanted, because I could go with something, but if it doesn't have what I want, why would I waste money when there's an option that has everything I want? First and foremost, I was only going to look at guns that were in caliber 9mm because that is one of the cheapest bullets at the time, and it's the most widely available, most produced pistol caliber bullet next to it's just the number one produced bullet. And it's been made for 100 years. They started making it in the early 1900s. The Germans started using it for their pistols, and it's still being used today, and the Germans are also still using it. Next, it's easy to take apart. This is like a Glock clone, so it takes apart the exact same way. You pull back a little bit, pull these things down, and you pull the trigger. So effectively, I got a Glock. But next, what I appreciate is how safe it is. So there's a drop safety in here. So this pin right here physically blocks the firing pin from going forward. It is impossible for the gun to go off unless if this is pushed up. So when you pull the trigger, you have this part here that would push up on here to allow the firing pin to go forward. So this top part is extremely safe. The next safe part is the double trigger. So if you're not pulling the right part of the trigger, if you're only pulling the back part, it's not going to go off. You have to pull that part. And when you pull the trigger, if you're actually trying to pull the trigger, you will never mess up. But if something else tries to pull the trigger, it won't go off. And thirdly, my other favorite feature is when you pull the trigger, this back part starts to stick back. So if I'm sticking my gun in somewhere and it's loaded, which all first rule of firearm safety is all guns are loaded, is you can feel it with your thumb, right? So if I'm putting it somewhere, and obviously your finger's off the trigger when you're putting it in somewhere, but if it catches on something, you know to stop because you can feel that the firing pin's going back. And it comes back for quite some time before it goes off. So you'll definitely feel it. Next is that, surprisingly, a lot of guns, more expensive guns, don't come with a case. So this comes with a nice, hard plastic case. So I figured if I'm going to buy a gun, it doesn't come with a case, why am I not buying that gun? Because cases, you can buy a plastic case for like $10. So that's retail price. So that means a store buys it for like $5. And if you're buying them on scale, you're probably buying them for like $3, and they probably cost only like $1 or $2 to manufacture. So if you're selling thousands of guns, like a company like Walther or some other large company, and it doesn't come with a case, it's like you really couldn't fork over $10 in the price, or less than $10. You don't even have to give a good one. This one happens to be extraordinarily nice. So this case, as I open, has really good foam, and it has a perfect cutout for the gun. What else I like about this case, it has a slot for accessories, and you can put 3 mags, 1, 2, on one in the gun, and that will fit even the extended mags. So it comes with a case, and the case happens to be really nice. It also fits the lock. The gun comes with 2 magazines. It comes with, we'll call this the extended magazine, and a regular magazine. This one holds 6, this one holds 7. So mags are only like $10-20, and if it's like a $500 item, yeah, this is $30 worth of crap that they're just kind of throwing in, but come on. This is stamped sheet metal, and injection molded plastic, like, and a coil spring. Like, this is peanuts to them. So if it's a $20 magazine, a store probably buys it for $10-15. So that means that it costs anywhere from like $5 to $8 for a company to manufacture one of these. So if you can't spare $12 on a $400 item, like, come on, just give me a reload. Like, a reload is so nice to have, because especially with these small magazines. The another reason I bought this gun is that it comes with a chamber flag, and it's a nice chamber flag. This is a quality chamber flag. This chamber flag will last me the rest of my life as long as I'm not absurdly rough with it. So it comes with good things. So you're not just buying the gun, you're buying all the stuff that you have to buy anyway. If you want to transport a gun, you have to put it in a case. So why doesn't it just come with one? It also comes with a manual. Now, I don't know how many gun companies don't include manuals. It's under here. I don't know if there's a serial number on it, so I'm not going to take it out. But having a paper document that tells you how to maintain it, how to use it, all that stuff. I know people don't really read manuals anymore, but to have official documentation that tells you what to do with it and how to use it, it's thank you. So it comes with all of these things. So there's so many reliable semi-automatic, we'll call this a Glock clone or a Glock-like pistol, where it's got plastic bottom and a metal top. So a Glock-like pistol that don't come with these accessories. But I bought the gun, right? I can spare $30. If I'm spending $400 to $700 on a gun, or more, or maybe less, I can probably spend $30. All right, I buy a magazine for $20. I buy a case for $10. Big whoop. It's not that big of a deal. These are just the nice to haves. But for the gun, I tried a bunch of the triggers, and this is a very nice trigger. When I was talking to the gun store people, they were recommending guns, and they're like, yeah, it's a great gun, but a lot of people like to change out the trigger so you get a better trigger, so it feels nicer. So I'm like, why would I buy a more expensive gun and then spend more money on upgrades when I could just get a gun with the upgrade installed, or what would be considered an upgrade? So I bought a reliable gun with an upgraded trigger, so to speak. So I wasn't wasting additional money on upgrade parts plus labor. I know a little bit on how to like work on stuff, but do I want to be the one figuring out how things work on something that is, we'll say, your last resort, so to speak? I'm not willing to risk it. I would rather have it work and be manufacturer proven, because once you start installing aftermarket parts in literally anything, there's always chances for things to go wrong. Unless if you really, really know what you're doing, and you know why you're doing it, and how things are intended to be done, it's really not worth it. Leaving the gun original is generally the best, because Walther will stand by their original stuff. If I put in a different trigger, they don't know the quality. They don't know if something could go wrong. They don't know if something could break because of the trigger. I don't know if something will break. I'm sure it likely won't, but Walther knows that this trigger works with this gun. It also has a really good grip. So when I was looking at guns, I would hold guns and they wouldn't feel right. They would feel like, they wouldn't feel too good. So when I looked at this gun, this hump here felt really good. Yes, there's guns where you can switch at the back, but I figured, why don't I just get a gun that I don't have to modify, where I don't have to mess around with it? Why don't I just get a gun that fits me perfectly? And this gun fits me perfectly. I'm sure I would have been fine with an interchangeable gun, and I'm sure that's also a great option, but this gun happened to fit me perfectly. I don't really want to mess around. I just want it to work, right? Anybody that fixes anything or has fixed things, you don't like to fixing things is not fun. And then the next reason I bought it, so the trigger and the grip, which are arguably the two most important things for when shooting, because this is what makes the gun go off, and this is what makes sure that the bullets go where you want them to go. Knowing where they're going to go is the sights. So, simple white 3-dot sights. That's what I like in pistol sights. Every video game I've played, I've been using these. The airsoft guns that I have, some of them have different sights, but a lot of them had these sights. When it's a pistol, I'm used to these sights, so I might as well just use these. And these are standard. So if I get a different gun, let's say I shoot somebody else's gun, I'm not going to have to spend a second figuring it out. Not that that's really going to matter, but these are standard sights that I'm used to and that most other guns use. Some guns come with different sights. There's one Austrian company that makes like a triangle sight system. Another Austrian company is Glock, and they make like this U. Some of their new pistols, the Glock 19X, and I think their 43 might have it, is the 3-dot sight system like this. But a lot of their other sights were the U. And I'm sure it's perfectly fine. I'm sure I could be used to it since I've played with Nerf guns and airsoft guns and video games. I'm sure I could pick up a different sight system almost no problem. But I figured, let's just go normal. So now that it has reliability, this is a reliable company with Walther. It has an upgraded trigger, a good grip, and good sights. There's other guns that are very similar with trigger quality, grip, and sights, and reliability, and simplicity. But this one happened to be below the average price, we'll say. So at the time of purchase, this was in the $400 range. I think it was like $400 to $440. And the Glocks, I thought they started at $500, but they really started at like $550 and more plus tax. So for the price of a pre-tax Glock and other similar models that were similar to and comparable to a Glock, I got all of the upgrades that they would say to put on a Glock. So this had all the accessories I needed. The only thing it didn't come with was a magazine loader, which, alright, it's a little downfall. I bought a Maglula, $30. Alright, I could shell out for that. But all of the comparable guns were very comparable to this. This one happened to feel better with the grip. It happened to have a better trigger, and it came with accessories like a spare magazine and a case. Now, I could have gone full size, and one of the guns that I kind of wish I could get is the HK-VP9. That's my other #1 gun. It's more expensive. It's twice the price of this gun. However, it holds twice the amount of ammo in a magazine. And the magazines are approximately the same size. You know, they're double stacked, so it's like this. But it holds twice the ammo. Of course, it's twice the size. But this was the biggest small pistol that was available. So it's big enough where I can hold it, and I can hold it, right? There's a lot of small guns, but they're small, and they're tiny. But I may not have large hands. I'll say I have small medium hands, undercompensate, and you know, a smaller gun for a size smaller, extra small hands, you know, that might be great. But with the recoil of 9mm, from what I've heard, because I didn't have enough experience to know how much recoil a 9mm would have out of every size of gun, I went with big, because when I learned to shoot under proper instruction, I ended up liking bigger guns more than I liked smaller guns. I hated the M9 the first time I shot it. Then I got proper instruction on how to actually shoot the Beretta M9, and it became my favorite gun over the course of an hour. it was great. But a Beretta M9 is huge, and it's all metal, so it's pretty heavy. This is a small gun, so you can take it with you when you need to take it with you. However, it's big enough to shoot. But maybe I didn't know if I knew enough. Like, maybe it's too big, right? Because this on here, it makes it pretty big. However, thankfully, this is a grip extension. And if I'm too dumb to know that this is too big, well, I had the option of going small. So now it's a small gun, right? So I have the option of being big and controllable or small and convenient. So with all of these choices and all of these accessories and the components that are included in the gun, I went with the Walther PPS. The only downside that I really see is that it only holds like 7 or 6. There are the 8-round magazines. I only own the 7 and the 6-round magazines. So is it good enough? You know, carrying around 26, 27 rounds, 7, 14, 21, yeah, 27 rounds between 3 of these and 1 of these. 27 is quite good. And with 27 rounds and 4 magazines, you have a better idea of how much ammo you have. So, not that I'm going to Afghanistan, but if I was going to a war zone and I have a bunch of little magazines, I know how much ammo I have and how much ammo I don't have by how many times I've reloaded and how, you know what I mean. So, would 2 15-round magazines be better? Well, it's 3 rounds better, but it's harder to say how much you've got. That's pretty much it. So there's my long spiel of why I went specifically with the Walther PPS. Summarize: a bunch of great accessories, pre-made upgrades, spare magazines, caliber 9mm, and choices: large, small, and it's the biggest small gun. Alright, that's it. Bye-bye.